Welcome to the next tutorial. Here we're gonna discuss about making of 3D text effect using layer styles. So the output will be like this. Look at that. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, the output result or the text will be like this with a better bevel and emboss than a drop shadow with a gradient overlay. So let's get started. Actually, we are using a font called Moncherry. Let me give the link to download that particular font. So first thing, I just made the background. You can create a document with any size with a white background color. Then I just pasted a pattern to the background. So you can go to layer styles or double click on the background layer and just jump into the layer styles and select the bevel and emboss. Then in the settings, the size is I choose 7 pixels and the soften is 0, then depth 100%, then rest of settings, the shading that's angle 120 and altitude 58 degree. Then the texture I selected here is the fibers 2, that's the texture name. Then the scale that I given 79% and depth minus 91%. So when you do this, it will create a texture like this or pattern like this, and this is our background. The next thing is we want to create the text using the font called Moncherry. Then we want to change the color to white, back pure white. Then we can make a text retro. Okay, let's change the text size to 162. I'm going to change the text size to 162. So the next thing we want to do is duplicate the text layer by pressing Ctrl J, or you can select and drag and drop here to make the copy. Okay, we're gonna add a separate drop shadow to the copy layer only. That's why we created a copy of the text layer. And also let me show you some tips to make the text to reflect with some gradients. Actually, this particular text effect is really easy unlike the previous one. So let's make the layer smart object. So click the original text layer, then right click, then convert to smart object. So when you make a layer smart object, Photoshop enables to perform non-destructive editing to that layer, which means it preserves an image source content with all its characteristics. Then select the copy text layer and head over to layer styles by double clicking. Then select the drop shadow. With these settings, let me tell you that the blend mode goes normal, then the opacity 100%, then the angle has to select 120 degree, that's use global light is enabled, then the distance is 15 pixels, then the spread goes 0, then the size goes 18 pixels, then the contour is selected to be linear. Then we will get a good drop shadow. Look at that, we will get a good drop shadow. When I enable the drop shadow, I got a good drop shadow. You will learn why I put these values here in the upcoming minutes. So we're gonna make 3 drop shadows in the original layer after applying a couple of layer styles in the original text layer. So we can click OK and head over to the original text here. Before start editing the layer styles, we have to keep the fill value of this copy text layer to 0. So what we learned in the fill versus opacity video, the fill value doesn't affect the layer styles. So look at that, when I disable this layer, this only affects the drop shadow. Then head over to the layer styles by double clicking the original text layer. Then we can start editing with bevel and emboss. The first one is bevel and emboss. I already told you the bevel and emboss will make the text 3D. Then I selected that. I just made the values default, so I am not going to change any value, but I will explain everything. So the first one is inner bevel. I selected the bevel has to be inside of the text, and then the technique goes, so I selected chisel hard as the technique. The bevel edges become more hard. Look at this, the smooth will make it more soft or rounded edge bevel. But in the letters, if the letters want to be noticed fast, for example, if you are designing this text for an invitation letter, you want to notice something instantly, choosing chisel hard instantly of smooth will make the text easy to get noticed. So keep the technique chisel hard. Then depth of the bevel and emboss, I choose this is 100. The value goes 100. Then the direction of bevel and emboss is upside. Then the size of the bevel and emboss is 18 pixels. Let's play with the size. So when I increase the size, it changes. When I change the size, it affects the shape of the bevel and emboss. Creation of shape also depends the shading settings, just like gloss, contour, angle, and altitude. Then make softening to 0 pixels. I already did that, because when I increase the softening value, the edges will become more softer or dissolve to the letters. The bevel will be dissolved to the letters, so we can keep the softening value 0. Actually, why I am explaining this, every small observations will help you to understand use of each sliders, drop down menus, and it will help you to create your own ideas, and next time you can create your own designs without watching videos on YouTube. So let's start editing the shading. This shading, angle, altitude, then gloss, contour, everything. The angle set the horizontal position of light source. Actually, the angle sets the horizontal light source, that's 120 degree I selected. Then the altitude sets vertical position of light. I choose 120 degree and 58 degree respectively, angle and altitude, and enable the global light settings. Then the linear contour, I selected linear contour. In the first contour, it creates a natural looking fall off of shadows, and uncheck the anti-aliased box, because nothing gonna happen even enable that. It gives a negligible difference. Then the text color, in the next setting, the text color is selected white color, pure white color, and the blend mode is screen. I selected a screen. Actually, the screen with white produces white. The effect is similar to projecting multiple photographic slides on top of each other. Then shadow color, I selected black color, that's pure black color. The color code goes of 0, then okay. And the shadow mode, I selected multiply, that's multiply black with any color will produce black, with 50% opacity in the highlight mode and shadow mode. Then we can start editing with the contour. So when I selected the contour, it automatically changes the bevel setting. Then the contour, I have to select the contour. I have to select the contour that's log contour, and you can check more details about contours in the contour videos. I hope you learned about contour already. Then the range, I selected 100%. So when I keep the range to a low value, it will become like this. Then I keep it 100%. I think this is now really looks beautiful. So what I did in the bevel and emboss, I selected the style inner bevel, then chisel hard. So the chisel hard will make the bevel more hard. Then the depth, that I selected 100%. Then the direction goes up, and the size of the bevel and emboss, that's 18 pixels. Then the shading is 120 and 58 degree. Then glass contour is linear. Then the rest of the things are like this. Then the next thing, we selected the contour, that's log contour. The contour we set is log, and the range value goes maximum 100%. So we are completed everything in the bevel and emboss section. So we are moving to the next section, that's inner shadow. I hope you are clear. Thank you. Then the next layer style we have to apply is inner shadow. Choose inner shadow. Select the inner shadow, and we have to add a particular inner shadow here. So the default blend mode is linear burn. Choose screen blend mode with white color. This linear burn, then with the black color. We can choose or select the screen blend mode with white color. This is a gray color. I already told you what happens white color with screen blend mode. So then the opacity is reduced to 15%, because when I seek the opacity value slider, look at that, the inner shadow level is rising up. Then the angle we choose, the bevel and emboss shadow angle, actually I chose 120 degree. So here also select the same angle, that's 120 degree, and enable global light. Then the distance goes 10 pixels. Actually the distance goes 10 pixels because we need to make the inner shadow in the edges. So we choose bevel and emboss size 18. Here the distance I chose 18 pixels, and we don't need to cover the entire bevel area with inner shadow, so that's why the distance restricted to 10 pixels, and also the size goes 1 or 2 pixels, and the chalk value goes 0. And then the contour is selected as linear contour. Actually when I change the contour, the shadow alignment will also be changed. I chose the linear contour here, that's perfect contour for inner shadow, applying inner shadow. So here also I prefer to select linear contour because the inner shadow aligned towards bevel and emboss. Okay, we are completed the inner shadow. Let's head over to the gradient overlay style, and also we are applying an inner glow effect later. It's really easy to understand the settings of gradient overlay. Let's go to gradient overlay. Choose a multicolor gradient from the gradient library. So click here in the gradient bar, then we can choose any of the multicolor. That's I'm gonna choose spectrum. So it's a lot of color. Now we can choose this one. Now which one I want? Okay, we can choose the spectrum. This have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 colors. That's 7 color spectrum. Okay, or you're free to choose any other color you like. So here we have to choose the blend mode normal. There is no blending gonna happen here. Then we have to select the style here, the linear. So I already told you what are the 5 styles: linear, radial, angle, because these are really important for your all kind of editings. This is really helpful in the upcoming videos in some sections. So because we want to paste all colors in all letters, if I select the radial, it will become like this. It will concentrate in a particular area, so keep it linear. Then the angle I choose here is not 120 degree, it's 90 degree. We can choose 120 degree, of course. The angle, because we want to align the colors straight. The colors are straight, that 7 colors are arranged straight, starting from red, magenta, blue, sky blue, then green, then yellow, then red, or some red color. So that's why I choose the angle 90 degree. So if I choose 120 degrees, so let's see what will happen if I choose 120 degree. The color are aligned in 120 degree, or colors will align inclined. Nothing gonna discuss more in this category. We can change the angle to 90 degree. So the scale value is 100. Okay, we can keep it 100%. Then the next thing is we're gonna edit with the inner glow. So select inner glow. So when I selected inner glow, look at that. So when I selected inner glow, you can see that the color contrast and alignment changes from a thick gradient to a thin color. Literally, we want this effect by choosing inner glow. So that's the use of inner glow effect here. So look at the color I selected here, that's white color, and the blend mode soft light. The blend mode goes soft light with 100% opacity. Actually these two settings, color and blend mode, will lighten the color. That's happening here. That's why it changed in the appearance. Then the technique, where is the technique is the technique is precise, and the source I kept center, and the inner glow size is said to be 16 pixels because we don't want to add inner glow to the entire text. Actually the bevel and emboss size is 18 and the inner glow size is 16, so the inner glow will stop away from 2 pixel distance. Okay, you can check the rest of the settings. Nothing much. Linear contour, then range goes 50%. So we are added 3 different layer styles in this section. We are moving to the next section, that's drop shadow. Actually we are creating 3 drop shadows with different values, so it's a little bit confusing why I'm making 3 different drop shadows and correcting like that. So we can learn in the next session about drop shadows. Thank you. We have to make 3 drop shadows next. we can see only one drop shadow. We can see a plus sign in a box here, which denotes you can make multiple drop shadows, or you can place multiple layer styles here. That's we can utilize in the gradient overlay, color overlay, then the inner shadow, stroke, and also in drop shadow. So we can make multiple layers, same layers, layer styles in 5 different layer styles. That's stroke, inner shadow, then the color overlay, gradient overlay, and drop shadow. So the first one, we can select the drop shadow here. So when I select the drop shadow here, you can see there is a change in the drop shadow. We can zoom in, then only you will get the clear idea about everything. Look at that, this is really perfect. Actually the texture works great, or the pattern works great. So when I deselect the drop shadow, it became like this. Then click the drop shadow, the first one with black color. So select the drop shadow, the first one with black color blend mode, linear burn. That's the black color has to set. Then the blend mode goes to linear burn here, linear burn. So when I selected from normal to linear burn, what happened? Let's check it out. Normal, there's a small deviation. Then go to linear burn, and opacity value have to keep 15%, not 100. Then click over here, then make a new drop shadow settings. Select the second one, and we have huge change in the opacity, then the distance, spread, and size, because this is the third one. So this not supposed to affect these two drop shadows. When I disable that, look at that, it creates a small deviation here, a small change here, but actually we have to change these values. We have to change the opacity from 25% to 10%. Why I changed to 10%? Look at that, the top one goes 25%, and this one goes 15, then 15, 25, and 10. When I decrease the opacity level, this particular drop shadow will not cover these two drop shadows. So if I increase the opacity to 100%, look at that, it covers every two drop shadows. That's why I kept a lower number, that's 10%. Then the distance has to be set from 15 pixels to 25 pixels. Then the spread, that's we are not going to do anything with spread. Then the size, that has to be 20 pixels. Let me tell you why I changed, why I raised this to a higher value. So when I disable this, you can clearly see that the differences when I disable and when I'm gonna enable this. And let's zoom in again, then look at here. When I enable, there is a small shadow. Here the only difference is distance and size, and also the opacity. I already told you. I increase the distance because we want to cover these two drop shadow distances, that's 15 pixels and the 5 pixels. The final drop shadow has to come apart from these two drop shadows. That's why I increase the distance and size. I already shown you when I increase the opacity, it covers these two drop shadows, so I don't need that. So that's why I made 10 minute things, how it works, how it looks like. We are moving to the next video. Thank you.